Welcome to Dove and Dragon Radio to our new podcast. I'm here with author Jen. I'm going to butcher your last name if you don't say it.
Ervig. I know that all the time. It's Ervig.
Yeah, see, I would butcher it. So how are you today?
I'm good. And yourself?
Awesome. So we have your book up here. It's called When My Mind Winds Up, A Pull to No Punches Approach to Anxiety. That is a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. It's a tongue twister. And what's even worse is it's very similar to my first book's title, and people are confused all the time. I like to keep people on their toes.
Well, there we go. So yeah, if you have just keep me on my toes. I'm good. So what made you write this book?
This one in particular, so it's focused on anxiety, which I've struggled with as long as I can remember. And so this one in particular just came from a moment of having anxiety. And I thought to myself, okay, what helps serve others? And so I usually find something to do that will serve others. And in this moment, the answer was sharing what helps me with anxiety. So I sat down and started writing the book.
Oh, that's perfectly awesome, because some of the best books out there are built from personal experiences.
Yes.
So if we can help someone, great.
Exactly. And I have found, and that's why this book on anxiety is so different, because most are going to focus on like self-care or like, positive self-talk, which I do touch on that. But I've not seen one that says, give up yourself and focus on someone else. And I am telling you, that is honestly the best way to get out of the mind trap and heart trap that's anxiety.
Very true. I also suffer from anxiety. If I go to a store, I'm so nervous and anxious being around people. That's just me.
Yeah.
And if I can concentrate, okay, I'm on the store to help X, Y, and Z, then I can get through doing what I'm doing at the store.
Yes, girl. Yes, that's exactly it.
I mean, a lot of people don't understand. A lot of authors, a lot of introverts suffer from anxiety. It can be from being around people. It could be financial. It could be whatever. We have anxiety. It's just in our nature. But when we focus on others, then we're not focusing on ourselves.
Exactly. And what's amazing about the fact that you point out introvertedness or whatever, or extrovertedness, is a lot of people, because I'm a pastor and a speaker and I'm in front of people, they think I'm extroverted, and I'm actually not. This quarantine, my husband even made a comment, for a stay-at-home order where we are at, is like, I'm totally chill. Like, I don't need people. It's staying at home. Whereas people would have thought he was introverted just because he can be more quiet, but that's the wisdom in him. But he is the one who misses people, and he needs to get out there and see what's going on in the world. So I actually like to call myself an ambivert, because even after being with people, like if I go to a party or even working 4 services on a Sunday when we were in church, I would go home and be like, nobody talk to me. Nobody look in my direction. Just give me food and turn on the TV. Like, I need to people. Like, I'm done.
I will put stuff on my social media at one point of the day, periodically. I'm done people in today. Leave me alone.
Exactly.
Like, I'm so bad for that. I'm like, I'm just done.
Yeah. It can be exhausting, and it just depends on how God wired you. Although it's important to remember that no matter what, we were created for community. So even if you're like the most introverted introvert, you have to find a way to build relationships. Even if it doesn't have to be a big crowd. It doesn't, but never forget that important piece.
Oh yeah. My big crowd is having 3 or 4 chat boxes open on the computer. I'm horrible at that. My boyfriend goes, oh, we need to change that. No, I don't think you are, but it's okay.
Awesome. Is he extroverted?
He is.
Oh, awesome. Good balance.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, it's perfect balance. He needs to be around people. I need to be away from people. So,
There you go.
it is what it is. So we have this wonderful book in your pasture. And are you working on more books?
So yes and no. I am working on, so actually the whole reason I became an author was I wanted to write a book on grief, as my brother died 6 years ago, quite tragically. And I could not find anything out there to help me grapple with what I was trying to grapple with, which is, how do I reconcile this tragic, unnatural death with what I was always taught and who God says he is? So every time I would Google books on grief, it'd be like your classic, these are the 5 stages of grief, or like, you know, whatever it is. And so that's not what I need. I need something that really rips open your heart, tells you how disgusting and gruesome life is, and sheds a light of hope. You know, that's what I needed. And so that's what I've always wanted to write. And the other 2 books just, I think, are what God is using as stepping stones to get me there. So I am working on that book. It's going to take years probably, as the other ones. My first one took 2 weeks. The second one took 6 months. This next one is quite a huge project. And so that is coming, but I say yes and no, because I haven't been working on it much lately with how the world's been turned upside down. And my last book only came out this last February, Valentine's Day. I can't focus on anything.
Yeah.
I'm barely doing your podcast right now.
Okay, what I'm supposed to be doing right now is writing a screenplay and working on 3 books myself. Okay?
Oh, wow, girl, you stay busy.
Oh, I'm always busy. It's my way of being away from people. If I'm busy on the computer.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm busy.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm, with the way the world is right now, I'm barely doing that. I'm like, okay, so I took on doing a news type of radio show for one of our local radio stations that's covering the chaos that's going on around what's going on with the civil rights movement right now.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'll do that. Okay, there has to be a better way to what we're seeing, what we're hearing, because everything we're hearing is black and white. It's literally and figuratively. There has to be a gray area in the middle where both sides can be united.
You're absolutely right. I mean, I didn't expect to touch on this at all, but it's always good to take an opportunity. But I mean, you know, being a white woman, I don't understand what they've gone through. Of course, we grew up on shows like Family Matters or The Cosby Show or Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and it makes everything seem okay. And in each one of those shows, they'll have like that episode, you know, that shows what they go through, and your eyes are opened a little. But what's been hard for me personally is I was raised by a family who my parents had you know, people of color as friends, and we'd go hang out with them, and it just seemed normal to me. Like, I know it sounds stupid to say I don't see color, but I kind of never did. And so it's hard for me to wrap my head around the idea of prejudice, because I'm like, okay, does that, like, to me, that's like saying I hate a redhead, or somebody might hate me because I have brown eyes. Like, I don't understand. Like, I can't wrap my head around it. Like, who decided black people were the worst? Like, they honestly have the best hair. I've always wanted to.
Oh, I know. I love that. When they have the natural hair, it's so beautiful.
It's soft. So anyways, all that to say, I've never understood it. And then, like, you know, growing up too, like, you hear about it in the history books and stuff, but I guess maybe being in the Northwest, it's not as prevalent, or it's hidden better than it is in other parts of the country, because I always thought it was a thing of the past. And so to see it through social media these last few years come out more and more, and it always originates in the South somehow. I don't know. That just is, I mean, excuse my ignorance if that's what it is, because I'm just saying what I see.
Right.
I was like, why is this resurging? I don't understand. But then as you talk more and more, it's not that it's resurging. It was always there. And so some weird things are happening right now. But
it's always been there. It's something that we're touching base on through my local radio station here in Cleveland. And it's like, here's the thing. I'm the white woman, and I'm being the voice of reason. And it's my co-host who's causing the controversy, where he's taking the point of being, well, this was a criminal. Well, okay, well, let's go back. Let's have a voice of reason. So it's what's going on, but my mindset cannot be at rest to do what I'm supposed to be doing, while the world around me is at chaos.
Exactly. Yep, I agree. It's good to talk about it. Well, thanks for bringing that up.
I bring up weird things on these shows. I'm like,
It's good.
It's very organic. And if you don't talk about the world around you, how can you go with a non-fictional book about even grief right now? I mean, how many people are grieving over the violence, over the COVID, over whatever, or natural grief? I mean, Chicago just had 18 murders over the weekend.
Yep, exactly. You're absolutely right. Yep.
So we have all these things factoring in. So books on grief are needed, but we don't need, well, these are the 5 stages. Let's go through this. Well, everyone grieves differently.
You're absolutely right.
And
they can go through those 5 stages too. Like, I think those are universal, but that even looks different for everyone. But like in my case, and even what I'm sure most people are going through in this world with the, you know, the prejudice, the racism, or the, you know, pandemic, you need more to help you on your way than saying, oh, this is what stage of grief you're in right now. Like, you need more than that. Oh, I don't know why I thought about this, but and you can cut this out of the show, but I will say one thing that did help me realize a little bit of the racism is, I don't know how I remembered it, but it was like 2 weeks ago on a Sunday. I remembered shopping at Christmas time with my family in Seattle. We do this every time at Christmas time. And my 15-year-old, he dresses like, he likes rap music, and he likes like the style and all that goes with that. And so he, you know, dresses a certain way, but he's a great kid. And I remember we kept going in stores, and they would like just latch their eyes on him or follow him around the store like he was going to steal something or something, right? Like my sweet little boy. And my dad even one time said, do you have a problem with my grandson? Like, to one of the store workers. And then I was like, oh my gosh, if my white 15-year-old gets treated like that, how much more a Black person, just because they assume, you know?
See, I did a social thesis when I was in high school. Okay. Went to the mall, because in the 90s to the early 2000s, the mall was the part to go to. It was always packed, you know, versus now. So I went on my normal clothes one day, went shopping, bought, I think, lipstick or something.
Yeah.
Another day in grunge type clothing. Okay. Yeah. Went another day full goth. Black lipstick, black makeup, white face, you know, full goth. And the looks that I got in the different stages of clothing was just ridiculous. I'm the same person. I'm not here to cause mischief. I'm just watching people. I mean, when I was full goth, I was having mothers pull their children away from me. I'm like, really? Are we that in society? And this is 2001. Mm-hmm. So if you take that little instance and put it now, are we really this society? Is there a better way to do things?
I love that you did that experiment. It's kind of something powerful for us to all consider doing to some degree, because what I would say too is, okay, I get it. There's stereotypes. Like, this way that my son dresses is linked to behaviors that are more normal than average for people who dress like that. But he looks people in the eye. He minds his P's and Q's. You know, if you're respectful, why can't you have the taste that you like? I know he was, my youngest son was playing basketball in the neighborhood one day, and my oldest son went out there playing his rap music, not too loud, but went out there to watch his little brother play basketball. And these little girls in the neighborhood said, you should turn that music off. It's really bad. Guess what? It was Christian rap. Yeah. But anyways.
Yeah. But that's the stereotypes that we assume. Yeah. I mean, we have the rap music that is promoting violence. I would say that. And then we have the rap music that is promoting peace. Mm-hmm. It's not just one type of music. It's not one type of person. Yeah. And we should be free to express ourselves the way we want. At the same time, we need to have a better way to express grief than go burn a store down.
You're absolutely right. Yep. I know. And I don't know what the answers are, but I just keep trying to learn more, read more, talk more, pray more.
I think we all do. Really, I think we all do, because there has to be a better solution than trying to erase history. We should be
Right.
teaching history so we can learn from it.
Yes. And they do say we repeat history, which is probably what we're doing right now. So maybe we'll learn this time.
I mean, history repeats itself, okay?
Yes.
Everything in history, unless you do something to change it,
That's
it
right.
repeats. And the only way you can go and change history is if you learn from it and stop the cycle.
Yep.
But we're not learning it, then how can we change it in the future?
You're absolutely right. Good conversation.
Yeah, always. I'm very insightful, and there's certain things. I mean, it's getting out of hand because we need people to pull back. We need to change our mindsets. We need to change our outlook at life and go forward.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why I love having people that do like anxiety. Get you guys on here. Let's talk about the anxiety. Let's see how we can mitigate that. Why don't we have mindset coaches come on here? Let's see if we can teach someone to change your perspective so we can move forward without the anger.
Yeah, exactly. Because it does turn to anger so many times because we get frustrated with the anxiety and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and we can be angry as long as, like here, the Bible says, be angry and sin not. So be angry, but don't let it affect others. Don't let it ruin your own life. If you're not healthy in and of yourself, you're not healthy for anybody. And we're all here for each other, not ourselves. So
we're not here to make our neighbor miserable. We're not here to make, you know, we talk about in the Bible a little bit, love thy neighbor. Well, okay, that doesn't mean actually love them, but don't make them miserable either.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't go and burn their house down because, you know, we're seeing this in the news right now. I mean, we're joking about it, but at the same time, it's in the news. You can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, we're to consider everyone better than ourselves, for sure.
Yeah. It's just, you have to love yourself. You have to be comfortable in your own skin. You have to get rid of the negativity that's in our mindset. So where's the negativity coming from? Is it coming from anxiety? Is it coming from grief? Is it coming from something out that's an outside source?
Mm-hmm. It is good. It's so good to self-reflect and look at where all that stuff comes from. I can talk. And match it up to truth and the reality of what's going on around you, and then try to reconcile that with who God is. It's super important.
Yeah, it's super important to find yourself before you go to, okay, this is not me, but at the same time, I'm going to give my views how you should act.
Right?
I mean, I'm not one to tell people how to act, but at the same time, let's have some conversation. Let's have some dialect to move forward.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm least likely to get up in front of people, hey, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you need to act like this. No, I should be acting like this. I should be doing this. I should be helping people.
Yes, exactly. All you can do is control yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, that does help others, for sure.
Very true. So this is, can you tell I'm a motivational speaker on top of everything else I do?
I love it. I love the passion.
Blame it on my grandfather, who was a minister.
Oh, I love it. My grandpa was a minister as well. Yeah. That's awesome.
He was ordained. His church was in his house, and he would preach to anyone who came to his house.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I was always at the house, but me, because I lived there. So I was always getting...
You've heard every sermon.
Yes. I had sermons for every occasion.
Very nice.
But, you know, we love those sermons because they're grandpa. We didn't think of them as sermons back then. We thought of them, oh, Grandpa's going off on a tangent again.
Awesome.
But here we are 30 years later, and everything that he was saying is being played out on the media.
Yeah. Yep. Grandpa knew what he's talking about.
So, where can our listeners find you, find your books, find everything about you?
Thank you so much for asking. So right now I'm really focusing on building my Instagram. I've never been an Instagram girl. I've been on Facebook for a decade or so. When I became an author, a fellow author, Terry Linhart, told me where you want to be is Instagram. That's where you want to build your platform. That's how you're going to get readers. And so I've been on there for a year and a half. I have 2,000 followers. My goal is 10K. I know that's a little.
That's a little. You need to work on that.
It's a big dream. But if you want to find out more about me, please find me on Instagram. My handle's Jen's Mind Unwinds. And then, of course, my link tree there, the link in the bio there leads you to everything else. My website, asmymindandwines.com, my Facebook, also Jen's Mind Unwinds, and everything else. My books are sold literally everywhere. If your local bookstore doesn't have it, because I always want to support local, please ask them to get it. It's on Ingram. It's returnable if they don't sell it. So always try to support local. Otherwise, it's Target, Walmart, Amazon, all the fun things. Does that answer your question?
Oh, yeah. We need to work on your Instagram. I have several authors within my publishing company that I need to build their platforms because they're like at 50 followers.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's so hard to build there, which is why I wonder if that's why it's the place to be if you do sell your books. Because if you can get that authentic following, I think that your followers know it was really hard for you to get it there. And so they know you're legit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we look at the ones, I'm trying to actually get my platform, my Instagram verified right now. I'm at almost 25,000 followers. And trying to get it authenticated is a challenge. It's not getting the followers. Once you get to a certain point, you have to get it authenticated. Well, getting to go through the hurdles of authentication.
You'll have to teach me your ways.
I am mind boggled because I don't know how it's doing that. But
well, and then the thing too is I can't stand the follow on followers. So don't be that person. So, or the people who pay for likes. That's not me either. So everything's legit.
Yeah. When you're doing it slowly and getting, I mean, you have to have your hashtags when you post something. You have to have people that are authenticated follow you. That's a challenge in itself because how many authors are actually authenticated? We have Stephen King, Terry Goodkind, Anne Bishop, I think, but there's not many authors authenticated. So being an author and trying to authenticate as an author.
Hey, authenticated authors out there, if you're listening to our podcast.
Seriously.
Awesome.
I would love to have an authenticated author on the podcast just to be able to authenticate my platform.
That's awesome.
That's what we do. But yeah, it's so hard as actually indie authors or small house publishing company to get authenticated. That's why Instagram is so pinnacle in building your platform.
Awesome. Well, I'm working on it.
We will get you there because, like I said, I have so many authors. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers.
They'll get there.
Yeah, it just takes time, and it's just going one thing after another. If you have a great PA, that'll help. And actually, I'm going to send you a couple of links because there's ways to get things on Instagram, on all your Facebook, social media, on one click. Isn't it nice instead of going through 5 platforms just to hit the button once?
Nice. I love it.
So, closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts.
Okay, closing thoughts. Find Jen at Amazon or your local bookstore. Let's have an open dialect. And authors like Jen and I, we love talking to our audience all the time. So we're reachable, if I can talk today.
Mm-hmm.
And so find us, find our LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitters. We are here to talk to you, really. So
Yes.
thank you so much for being on the show today. And
thanks for having me. It's been fun.
when you get your next book out, let me know. We'll pull you back on. We'll update the audience on all your awesomeness that you're doing.
Thank you so much. That will be so fun. And I wish you many blessings with your podcast and your adventures. And I look forward to just being friends with you more. Let's put it that way.
I just connected with you on Instagram, so you got one more follower. So
Nice. Thanks for getting me there.
Have a wonderful day, Jen. And this was a very fun podcast. Thank you.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.